I talked that whole time and nothing was even on, papi. Um, so I was just not watching Martin Luther King, and so the reasons why this man means so much to me is because of the levels of walkness and awareness that I've had to actually walk through in my reality. So I was seeing this thing, sitting there talking about he was a fake prophet and all these other things. I don't know that stuff. I don't know the biblical. I don't know anything like that. What I could tell you is that a man that's trying to survive in reality is a man that's trying to survive in reality and eliminate that the hate and the racism in the community. So I remember being in Ohio, and I remember I was walking with this African man, right, or black, if he wants to identify as black. And then so we were walking, and I was walking with my one little friend, and I think he was referring to her, and it's like he's shooting out into the community. He's like, and this is how you treat your people, and he said it so loud, and I'm like, there you go, fight for the rights, baby. But I remember looking at it, and I remember always looking because there was only two black families that were that I seen that was like in Hillsborough, Greenfield, um, and then so what I actually ended up noticing, and I think this was after, so my one cousin, she was going to Greenfield. It only lasted for a couple months because they started calling her N lover and all these other things, spit wads and stuff like that. Even though she looked like a Latina, you know, because my family came from Cicero and it's more Latin than anything, but they were still referring to her like this, threw a football in the back of her head. And so when the police officers questioned all that and questioned the teacher, and I think my auntie was over there too, they said, "Oh, so what happened?" They were like, it's been horrible. They've been tormenting this poor girl. And the police officer looks at the teacher and is like, well, why didn't you let us know? So in a small community, right, that's all of one race, right, and they're picking on one girl that's obviously light skin, light ears, light colors or whatnot. But what are you gonna do when you got the whole hierarchies going to that school? What are you gonna do when that's the judge's son or that's, you know what I'm saying? So it was twisted, and then so then we wound up like having like just two families that ended up coming. But I remember looking at them and I'm like, you motherfuckers are not related, like. And then I remember feeling like a sense of protection, like a sense of a beauty, and to me it was to be able to limit, from my understanding, of people that actually do hold the forms of racism or the forms of hate for that of another group of people. And thanks to that of some black brothers and sisters that ended up moving into the town, is literally showing, because this is the reason, like, right? So the dream still exists, but it's not even just that, but the reasons why the movement's still so very serious and so true, because there are towns that are controlled by hierarchies, and the levels of allowing racism or hate to be grown needs to be limited. And I believed, and I believe still to this day that beautiful brothers and sisters of all forms, but definitely underneath that of Martin Luther King and definitely Malcolm X and many others, is actually helping keep the limitations of, the amount of harms even onto that of the consciousness of the people. And then so I started thinking about it, right? Because it gets so twisted, is for some of us, it's really hard, because our energy bodies, our mind bodies, and us being able to hold the levels of our consciousness and awareness. So, so I just want to say, like, this is still a very big impact in my reality. Not all of us are blessed with that of the metaphysical arts, and even though a lot of us want to be able to go ahead and speak the truth, for some of us, some are not powerful enough in order for them to be able to restrict that of the telerization and the metaphysical arts that are being suppressed, excuse me, onto the person. So we still have a lot of problems, going into these areas. And and of course now seeing how I've been so divided and so hurt and harmed, and I still go through these like real big issues because I'm like, okay, so I went and I got rewired because I love blacks too much, and it was hard, like it was honestly hard, like to really perceive that, you know, because I'm trying to hold my own consciousness where I'm just peace and love, like I'm just pure peace and love, and that's it. But it's this other portion. I think even when it comes to media or when it comes to, you know, forms of being able to, like Hollywood. Being able to market somebody or being able to do something like that, you'll be able to rewire them, put them right back out there, and put them in the public's eye, and it's like they're already rewired. So you know, they just got it back with what's ever going on, and then, like that force of delusions being forced onto that person. But it's intense. It's intense to, you know, it's intense to really think like if you hold the peace and the love and, you know, that of actual unity, and if you've, you know, if you've been, you know, in jail or anything like that, you'll see a couple of them brothers jump on. These motherfuckers are looking, and I'm like, oh, who's communicating? And I always feel within myself that there's a sense of protection within that of the black community, to being able to protect that of the levels of harms onto that of the people, and especially onto that of all forms of people. You know, it's intense. It's, and you know, and I'm still smacked. I'm still smacked with something like being a designer of a creator, and I'm like, well, if I don't hold this hate, if I don't hold all that, then I won't pull it into my gravitational pull, and I'm like, it's good. Like I don't have to worry about it, and then it's like, there's a form of authentic form of truth where it's this consciousness, and this consciousness, whenever they collide, it does battle the true forms of teachings within that of the person. All I know is that is within all forms of community that I've been able to experience. I'm not good with timelines. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how this timeline, that timeline works. I don't know how, you know, I wasn't raised with the metaphysical arts. I wasn't raised with all these other things. But I did walk through reality enough in order for me to see that still today, all forms of people, of all forms of races, is still being affected by those in their power. So Martin Luther King, I love you. The movement still goes, and there's even still sometimes that like I got a tetherization or, you know, anything that kind of like pulls me away or a little bit, or even makes me doubt or perceive more negative sometimes. But the truth is that thanks to a little bit of the communications, thanks to a little bit of the gospel, thanks to some of the speeches, thanks to some of the artists, thanks to some of the people that are part of the movement, thanks to soul connections, thank you to energy bodies, thank you for mind bodies, thank you, because I think thanks to that of some black brothers and sisters, some gospel, some some soul essence of true forms of reality, is cross transferred, and I want to say thank you. I love you, and I'll always have these different portions of consciousness and different forms of truths, even when it's trying to be forced on me not to be able to see this other form of reality. I love you.